Welcome to the Play Big podcast with Coach Curtis Dean. Coach Curtis is a certified life and health coach. Coach Curtis's passion is to help everyone reach their highest potential. If you're stuck in a rut in your career, relationship, or personal growth, Coach Curtis will challenge you to play big through transformational habit change coaching. Coach Curtis will help you clarify your goals, identify your obstacles, and design strategies to overcome them. So get ready, get pumped up, and let's play big. Hello. Good evening, everyone. It is the Play Big Coach. I'm Coach Curtis, and welcome to my new guest host. It's Joni, my wife. I thought it would be great to add her to our podcast at night, especially I think she softens me up a little bit because I can sometimes be a little over the top. Don't make that face you're going to make. I can sometimes be a little over the top, and she softens me a little bit. Plus, I love her perspective on things. Definitely a female perspective, but also the perspective of, being a spouse, being a mother, being a grandmother, and all those things. So we want to welcome everybody back. We're so glad you're here. We apologize for not being here a couple of weeks ago. We had a lot of things going on. Do want to give a great shout out to Kim and Donna, who were here with us last time on the show. That was our highest podcast to date, folks. We had over 7,000 views on that podcast. 7,000 people heard the story of life, love, and relationships, just looking at a couple of couples who are madly in love and growing in that every day. Most of you know, Joan and I are in our 25th year. We come up July on our 25th anniversary. So we're super excited about that. She's so excited. She's already spending money on it, and it's not till July. So that's how excited she is. But it's going to be great. We got some great things planned. Tonight is an amazing show simply because it's been a year. It's been a year. This week, last week, kind of the end of the week, this week, it's been a year when somebody got up one morning and said, yeah, shut it down. Everybody go home and don't go back out again. And I know some of you are still in that phase. Some of you are still on lockdown. I know some of you are out and about. We live in Florida. So things aren't, we have a mask mandate, but a lot of things are open. A lot of things are different, but it's still been a challenge this year. A lot of people who have, problems and who have, some of those issues with being alone, with not having family, not having friends, have really suffered. And so I have two amazing folks on the show tonight. But before we get there, I want to talk about something else that's amazing. We had a new grandbaby. And her name is Brynlee May. I think we may or may not have a picture. Yes, that's her. That is our Brynlee May. She was born 2 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago today.
3 weeks ago today.
Yes.
Give her the deets.
She was 8 pounds, 14 ounces, 20 inches long. Came out with that full head of hair that you see in that picture right there. And just took over the world for me and Curtis and her mom and dad. And she is just the love of our life now.
Absolutely. So that's our Brynlee May. And she has joined my baby grand, who is Kyrie.
And she's in Missouri right now.
She's in Missouri. That's our son-in-law. That's his other daughter. And so she can't wait to get here this summer and meet her new sister. And we're very, very excited to have Brynlee with us. So I think it's a really cool name. I don't know where Megan and Mo came up with it from, but it's really, really cool. Brynlee May, she was amazing. She's beautiful. I think she probably looks a lot like me when you get. Okay. See, that's what I thought was going to happen. So
move along.
Anyway, moving along tonight, we do have some amazing guests. We want to talk about a couple things before we get there. We've got a couple new groups going on Facebook. I have a Moving and Grooving in March Facebook group. I don't know if you guys are like us. We work pretty hard during the day. Even though it's a muggle job and a lot of it's just mental, it's still you're out there and you're doing things. And we fall in that trap of coming home every night, sitting on the couch, pouring a glass of wine, and vegging out in front of mindless TV. So the Moving and Grooving in March group is just something to get us up, maybe, maybe doing a few more steps, maybe doing a dance, maybe walking around, maybe, walking on the treadmill. I have a rowing machine, maybe using the rower, just doing a little more than we were doing before. We're trying to come out of this pandemic. We're trying to come out of being so locked down. So we want to get our blood flowing. We want to get motivated. We want to get out there and start doing things. It's a Facebook group. It is open to the public. I only have like 10 or 15 members right now, but it's not about growing it. It's about the people who are there taking part. Okay. So just moving and grooving in March. And then another one that I just started in the last few days, and this is for all my guys out there. This is called the Council of Men. It's a new Facebook group that is devoted to men. One thing that I found as a coach is that there are so many women coaches and so many groups for women out there and everything that sometimes us guys kind of get left by the wayside. You know, we're the ones that are just expected to be able to knuckle down and do this thing. You know what I mean? We're the ones who are supposed to be strong. I grew up in a generation where men didn't go to therapy. Men didn't talk about their feelings, any of that kind of stuff. You just had to knuckle down. You pulled yourself up by your own bootstraps and all that stuff. And that's all well and good. But, you know, men need a place to talk to each other, right? To be able to just be able to know that you're going to be able to talk about things in safety. So yesterday, here's a perfect example. Yesterday, one of the first questions was, how do I please a woman in the bedroom? My response was, if you're waiting until you get to the bedroom, you're too damn late. What? Yeah, if you're waiting until you get into the bedroom and try to please your woman, you're already starting too late. I'm sorry. That should have started a whole long time ago. That bedroom thing, that's a whole nother thing. And I know there are some things that you can do in the bedroom, but I think that if you're in the right mindset and you're doing the right thing with that person, it's not going to be hard to please her in the bedroom. Am I right?
That is correct.
Because, my wife's always told me one of the sexiest things I can do is wash a damn dish once in a while, you know? So that's how it is. Help clean up the house, help take care of the kids, change a dirty diaper. One thing I will tell you about my new son-in-law is he is an amazing dad. He has jumped right in with both feet and helped Megan. He's stayed up. He's changed diapers. He's dressed that baby. He took care of her when Megan had to have a little stint back in the hospital after the baby was born. Those are the things that are going to impress your wife. Those are the things that are going to show your love. And those are the things that are going to make you successful in the bedroom, guys. So anyway, we won't wear that out. But if you want to come to a place where men can just talk about anything, it can be feelings. It can be those kind of things. It can be whatever you want it to be. Join the group. Come on in. Let's talk. There's probably only 6, 8, 10 guys in there or something like that now. But we want it to be a safe place for men to be able to talk to each other. Can you turn the air on? Because I am dying now. I'm in show mode now. I've got this giant light right in my face and I'm dying. So the other thing is I am pretty much TikTok famous now. Did some TikToks today. I won't lie. I do have over 10 followers already. So that's just blowing up. The whole thing. Check us out on YouTube. Thanks to my producer, Toya. We are also on Apple Podcasts. I believe we're on Podbean. We are on Stitcher and a few other places where you can catch the podcast, whichever one is your favorite. Coach Curtis is TikTok famous. You know it, girl. I got 10 followers. What are you talking about? You can't stop me.
That's because our granddaughter's got 63. So
It's true. My granddaughter does have 63, and every time she makes a TikTok, it frightens me in this world today.
He said he's going to travel to Missouri and have to kill 62 other people. So I don't know.
It's probably true. Yes, I'm a bit of a protective papa. That is for sure. All right. So without further ado, I want to bring up the guy who actually got me started on this. This is Pastor Dozell. He is a pastor at the Church Without Walls, which is a virtual church that he does online. He also has an amazing podcast every Monday night called Dialogue with Dozell. And it's just him and Kim, who we had on the last show. They are very, very, I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to use. They are all about the community. They're all about rights and justice, and they're all about treating people the right way. And they have some amazing guests on that will really be of value to you if you want to listen to him. So let's bring him up if he's ready. Talk to him for a few minutes, get his story. Hey, Dozell.
Hey, hey, Coach Joan, how you guys doing?
Well, doing well. You looking good?
Oh, so happy to be here with you guys tonight.
Does it feel a little different being on that side instead of being on this side?
Coach, I was thinking about that when I was getting ready today. I said, it's nice to just be able to come on and relax. I don't have the nervousness. I played basketball, and you know the nerves you get before a game and stuff, and that's every Monday for me. And I go through this superstitious routine of a shower before I go into pre-production and everything. And then I can just be a guest and enjoy it. It's a different feeling.
That's right. You know, I've had a few guests on who were super, super nervous. And I said, you know what? It's just two old friends talking. That's all we're doing. You know, you're sitting on your couch. I'm at the dining room table. We're just having a conversation. So tell us a little bit about you. How did you get to where you are today? I know you've had an amazing life. So tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Coach, I'm an old dude. I didn't quite qualify for the 65 vaccine shots, but they'll get me starting Monday. The new grouping will get me in. So I said that to say this. I've been a lot of things. I started out as, like Kim. I was a police officer. I was in ministry before I joined the police department. So after 7 years, I went to seminary, completed my undergraduate work, and served a church in Chicago for about 9 years. Yeah, almost 9 years, and then I was invited down to a mega church, a mega black church in Fort Lauderdale, and I jumped on the opportunity. I came down as assistant pastor, and I did something I said I'd never do. After 6 years, I stepped out and started my own church. So I had to go to work, and so I taught, just retired, for about 14 years, and I coach high school football. So that's the story of my life, and my podcast started as a result of seeing. I don't know if you're familiar with Pastor Rudolph McKissick there in Jacksonville. When the pandemic started, he and his wife started a podcast, and I think he shut it down. And he's not doing it consistently. He could have been on TV and got great. He was hilarious. Called the Bishop's Kickback Crew, and so I got the idea and just been enjoying it.
Awesome. So your church is the Church Without Walls. Is that correct?
Right. New Life, the Church Without Walls. Our building is down in Dania Beach. Okay.
And when I know that is I know that's a whole separate show for you. So when is that on?
We come on at 9 a.m. on Sunday mornings. It usually runs at 9:45, 9. We're definitely off by 10. But
okay. And then tell us a little bit about your podcast on Monday nights. The one I know I was on it. I've been on it a few times. I know you've had some amazing guests. So talk to us a little bit about that. What's the idea behind it? What are you doing the podcast for?
Well, Chris, let me tell you, it's the funniest thing in the world. I used to see people on Facebook Live, and that's how it started. And then your producer, our oldest daughter, grabbed it and took it to the next level. I used to see people just come on and do. I said, who wants to see somebody talk on Facebook? Just they'd be walking along and talking, sharing aspects of their day. I said, who wants to see that? And when I saw Bishop McKissick's program, I said, this is hilarious. Well, I'm a speech major. I was a broadcast major, and my mom convinced me. Well, after I got midway through my degree, my undergraduate, I was called into ministry, so I swapped it over to speech to help with that aspect of delivery, which satisfied my mom because she thought radio was a lost cause for me as a career, which was I was just crazy about. So I've always been fascinated by the process. I interned at Channel 12 in the sports department there in Jacksonville. Just enjoyed the industry. So after I saw Bishop McKissick's Kickback Crew, and it's just hilarious. He and his wife brought so much, just like you and John. You guys bring so much. Your morning has so much personality. And so maybe I could do something, talk a little sports, and do some culture. And I'm a political junkie, so that just kind of jumped in there. And I said I'll start it, see how it goes. So I signed on Facebook Live. Toya jumped in and it brought the program to another level. And then I wanted to bring Kim on as a guest. But I didn't want to fuss with Kim. He and I kind of have differing philosophies doing all of the stuff that happened with police last year. We kind of see a little bit different. He's all about justice, but I'm a little bit more to that side of the spectrum because I've been away from police work like 40 years now. And so I'm more of a pastor than a policeman or an activist. So
Right.
I'm not going to bring my brother on and fuss with him, but I sure want him on the show. And somehow he has to come on about something, and it's just a natural. He makes that podcast. When he's not on, it's not the same.
I get that, and that's kind of what happened with Joan and I last week when she was on. Not the last week, but the last time she was on, when she was on with Kim and Donna. I just thought it brought it to a whole nother level, and that's why I wanted to bring hers. And your brother Kim is just such a great guy. We are friends with the Foxworths, and they're always, those are some party people. They're always having these great parties. So we met him through them, and he and I clicked just like we've known each other our whole life. But we grew up in Jacksonville. He and I both. So we had a lot to talk about. We had a lot of same experiences, friends, those kind of things. So it was really cool. So the first time I got to come on your podcast was amazing. And again, I saw what Toya did as well, taking it to the next level, and I thought that made it really, really cool.
Yeah, but he doesn't know how to retire like his brother does either. Like,
yeah.
That's not retiring. Like, retiring is going to lay out on your boat and then relaxing and all that. I just don't understand the whole retirement thing.
So Kim never retired. This is the whole, I seen him in the. I remember driving up. I think he retired about 12, 14 years ago.
Been a while.
He never retired, and so now it's so funny. And of course, the pandemic, because of my pre-existing conditions, I've been basically relegated to this house.
Sure.
I did get out. Our football team played 4 games, and we were in the champ playoffs and all that stuff. So I got out for that daily, which kind of got me out the house. But otherwise, were it not for the golf course and the grocery store, I would be a prisoner of this house. My wife keeps me in. But Kim lives life like nothing. So he's always out and about.
Yeah, but you do so much between those 4 walls, though. So, you're still living the life. You're still out there doing what you do, even if you are in those 4 walls.
The podcast brought so much because I do an incredible amount of preparation.
Sure.
You wouldn't believe, because of the vast range of our subjects. I'm not an expert, and I'm bringing people who know that. So I want to be able to be, intelligent when I'm talking to them. So that has been one of the things. I got some books in me. I know you have a guest coming up, Coach Kamal, who's written a book.
Yes.
Toya has been forcing me get those books out there while you're in. So I got to get on there, get this one, and get those out. Movie script. I got to get all that stuff done.
It's true. I know I have 2 books in me right now that I want to write, and I never knew how to start. I can talk all day long. You met me. I can talk all day long. That's no problem. I was in radio for a while. I was a radio disc jockey, which was great because my dad said I had a face for radio. So that made life a whole lot easier for me. So now that I got to put this face out there, it's a little different. I don't mind doing live videos. I don't mind TikTok and all those things. And I always worry about writing a book because I'm not good at grammar and spelling and all those kind of things, even though, most everything spell checks for you now. But those are some of the things. I know I have a couple of books in me, one about our relationship and what we've been through, especially what Joan has been through. And then one about growing up here in Jacksonville and being with my mom. Everybody called my mom Miss Betty. And she had 3 sons. And so the title of my book, the one about us, is just called Miss Betty's Boys. And I'm very excited. I want to get it out. I just don't know how to do that yet. And so I'm definitely working on that. But I definitely think you could write some great books. Absolutely. The life you've led.
Coach, actually, the book that I'm going to sit down and I just said that earlier today. I'm going to get this book started, first chapter done next week. I was working with Kim. He had a little side job in Jacksonville, and I was with him, and it just I outlined the whole book while working with him, standing on my feet one night.
That's awesome.
You do that outline, everything else comes. The fact that I haven't done it is just pure sorriness.
Yeah. And we got, you're like me. You got so many irons in the fire. You don't know which one to keep the hottest. So it's how it is. So. Guys, does anybody out there have any questions for me or for Doz or for Joan? Anything that you'd like to ask? Now's a great time. What have you found to be for you? What have you found to be the biggest, I don't want to say hardship, but what's been the biggest struggle for you about being in this pandemic the last year?
Dealing with the chaos of the pandemic, because there's so many things put in with that. It's not just the pandemic. It's people not working, and there's just so much chaos in your mind about it. How did you get over that? How did you deal with that?
Well, social media has meant a lot. I'm reading more. I had things on TV that I never had a chance to see. All of those things are happening, but I have been able to keep going. I started out by walking the golf course when the Infrared Golf Course right down the street here closed, and then it stayed closed. I think it was scheduled to close anyway. That's where the Jackie Gleason. In fact, Jackie Gleason lived right here around the corner. And we live in a gated community. He lives right around the corner. He lived right around the corner.
That's so cool.
That is awesome.
So I walked that, and then my kids, Toya, they got together and bought the old boy invested in a real nice golf clubs. So I do get out and do that because it's an outdoor activity. So I've done a lot of that, when I'm physically able to outside. So
awesome. Yeah, and I think that's so important is the the fresh air, the sunshine. Even if you can't be with other people, at least being out in nature and being with in the sun and that kind of thing. I think it makes a world of difference.
I mean, you see you see the same group of 4 guys, sometimes twice a week, maybe once a week for sure. That's been just real charging to my spirit. We get out and we talk. You ride separate cars, but you still interact. And
sure.
It's just been great. So. And I did the football thing. That was real. I was scared. In fact, 2 of our coaches came down with COVID.
Wow.
And our head coach came down with it right after the championship game. Had he come down with it maybe 7 days earlier, we got to the championship game, we would not have been able to compete for the championship because they just shut programs down if anybody came down with it.
Right.
And so that kind of scared me back in when coach came down with it. So,
sure.
Like I said, it's one book should have been done, and I'm also the biggest book I'm trying to hustle to. That's why I want to get the pastoral care book out. I want to get it done. The pandemic kind of reined me in because I didn't know what would be the market for it because everything changed. Our show 2 weeks ago dealt with adapting pastoral care during the season of pandemic. You couldn't go in the hospitals for a season. You didn't want to go into people's houses. So, but now that it's opening back up, I know now I can kind of go back and do it as it was. But I'm really interested in getting that done for the discipline's sake, so I can get to this book I'm doing on Colin Kaepernick and the whole social piece around that occurred and which kind of culminated last year with the George Floyd tragedy.
Awesome. That's great. For me, one of the hardest things was, I manage 12 different properties for the company that I work for, and all my managers had to keep working, but I got to stay home. They made me stay home while my managers were out there on the front line dealing with people every day. And it sounds silly, but it was almost like survivor's guilt, I mean, here I was in my house, and luckily, I don't know if you say luckily or not, Joan wasn't working either, so she was here. So I got to spend every day with my wife. We could have lunch together. We could do whatever we wanted. So I just had to work during the day on what I normally do. But knowing that my people were out there every day having to hustle, having to be in front of customers. And this was at the height of the pandemic when everything was the worst. And there were so many unanswered questions. For me, that was the hardest, So I definitely had to rely on Joan. I definitely had to rely on a lot of my coach friends. I'm in a couple different groups with them that really helped me get past all that and those feelings of, how do I deal with being at home, safe and sound, while I know my people are out, on the front lines.
Well, Coach, I heard you talk about your Mars group and your men's group. I'm interested. If guys don't mind a pastor being involved, I'm really excited about what I was hearing there.
No, you're welcome. More than welcome to join in. Yeah, the movement group, I just post a few things every day of some of the things I've done, some of the things that they can do, some things on food and that kind of stuff. And then, like I said, the men's group is I just want to have dialogue with men. So long men have been suppressed, I just because they don't get to talk about a lot of things that I feel like we need to talk about sometimes. We don't have anybody to talk about it with. Because you don't want to go out with your boys having a beer and be at the tavern or the pub or eating wings and drinking a beer and talking about your feelings, So that's kind of frowned upon. So I want it to be a safe place where us guys can talk about things that guys need to talk about. So
exciting.
Awesome.
Like guys have mental health. We have our mental health is particularly during this season is vital as anybody. So
absolutely
thank you for doing that.
Yep. All right, Pastor, it was wonderful to talk to you. You hang back. Don't go anywhere yet. We'll bring you back up in a few minutes, but I want to get to Coach Kamal. He has written a book, and he was kind enough to let me read it and do a preview of it. He actually took my little blurb that I wrote about it and put it on the back cover. So, I was really excited about that. I appreciate the fact that he wanted my opinion. And so we're going to bring Coach up and talk to him a little bit about this pandemic and about finding peace in the chaos.
Thank you, Coach.
There he is now.
Hey, how are we doing?
Good. How are you, Coach?
Absolutely fan-terrific.
Awesome.
Can't beat that one. That's fantastic and terrific combined.
I try new things all the time. That one's good. I like that.
Yeah. And by the way, I hope he doesn't run away because I've been listening to this and watching, of course, you and the Reverend on it. And fantastic history he has. Beautiful man. Love him already.
Yeah,
I just met him tonight. And there's so many things, I think, in certain areas that he and I have in common. And actually the three of us, for some reason, I worked in radio for a short while myself.
Well, one of the things about when I was a guest on his podcast, I never met him before. I'd only met his brother, and we talked a bit. And I'm not going to lie, I sent an email and I sent a text to his brother and said, "Look, do you ever need a guest on your podcast? I'm your guy. Hook me up. I'd love to be on. Love to get my voice out there." He did. And again, I fell in love with Toya and how she runs the show and how awesome she is. So that was cool. But just after meeting him and he is quite a social activist and, in a lot of different areas. And plus the part of being a pastor and just the love that he has for people, it's all definitely come full circle. So, it's amazing. I met this guy when I was 15 years old named Mark Foxworth. We stayed friends for years, off and on, didn't get to see each other through a lot of it because, distance. I was working all over the East Coast. He was working here in Jacksonville. 2014, we moved back to Jacksonville. I meet back up with him, hook up with his brother, who's always kind of, I knew him when he was a kid. Now I'm friends with his brother. His brother introduces me to Kim, and this thing has come full circle. It's such a small world that we live in and how everything intertwines. But, a little bit about Coach Kamal and myself. We are both graduates of HCI, which is a Health Coach Institute. We are both certified health and life coaches. We both came up through the same, what we call a cohort, March 2019. I don't want to not say anything, but it's probably the greatest cohort ever in the history of cohorts. But that's just my opinion. But we really had some great people. And the one thing, and I think you'll agree with this, Coach, is that the great thing about HCI is it's not just a school. It is a literal community. When I went for the first convention that they have, the live event, it was like going to a high school reunion that I actually wanted to attend, and getting to meet all these fabulous people was amazing. And just people like you who had so much life experience. And then a guy like me, I was just blown away by it. And there is the beautiful and illustrious, amazing coach, Nikki Mills. She says there's so much heart on one podcast. And that's somebody who would know because she has a heart as big as Texas. So,
oh, yeah.
So, Coach, talk to us a little bit and bring us up to speed on you and all you do. And then let's talk about your amazing new book.
Well, I don't really know where you want me to start. I mean, there's so much that we could say and so little. But in a nutshell, I'm kind of a down-to-earth kind of guy. I tried to retire a couple of times. And Rev, I hope you're still listening. But, back in the 90s, I had a great honor of meeting a good man, Jim Rohn, motivational speaker. And he was a great friend of a friend of mine. And he told me once, he said, life's a funny thing. He says, I wanted to retire. I wanted to slow down. So I jacked up my rates to do a keynote speech. I was charging $10,000. I decided to charge $25,000 just for an hour keynote. So I became busier than ever. And, that was back in the 90s. And I found out that's kind of true. I was forced pretty much to do some internal things. And my wife needed me. We've got 8 people floating around this household somehow with grandkids living with us, 4 of them. My wife, myself, son and daughter. She just needed my help at home. And for me to start off after 30 years in the corporate world, to do starting off other ventures just wasn't in the cards. So I said, okay, fine, great. And I broke away and, started working a lot from home, started doing some writing, started doing some back end stuff for other people on the, kind of quiet, which is where I've kind of been all along. And I've been watching a lot of things. Of course, this pandemic has caused me to increase my social media activities,
Sure.
things. And I've also gotten very involved. Of course, I'm Baha'i in the local religious activities there. I'm also was recently asked to be a discussant for the Wilmette Institute. We're doing a great program and class on anti-Black racism and basically working on what can be done to help at a social, personal level to get people to resolve certain social issues and dealing with biases stuff, which is what also led me down to this book, because I was sitting back and looking at a lot of stuff. The book actually was something I wrote partially before, but this is a time right now when people need direction. They need guidance. They need to get a grip on themselves. They need to find out where to go, what to do, Absolutely. And how to stand up for themselves. And as you mentioned earlier, there's a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of pressure on the kids today, the youth especially. And so I wanted something that I could say in a very concise manner. And as you know, it's not a big Webster's dictionary size thing. It's very short, in fact. But I wanted something that was concise and to the point, and say, this is not a panacea. It's not going to cure anything, but it will, implemented properly, give some guidance to help people get a grip on their own life, because it's hard to go. Coaches, as we said back at HCI, everybody paints their own picture. We tell our own story. We paint it on. We are what we are, and we have a hand in responsibility of being what we are. And in that light, it's vitally important that people take a series of steps. The Rev talked about doing an outline of his book, and that's kind of what we have to do with our life at times. We have to sit down and prioritize things and order things. And so in this book, I talk about some of these things and some of the ways and steps. And like I said, what led up to it is just my life. I worked 30 years customer service industry. I've built call centers, did call center analytics, was a consultant for a major think tank at Benchmark Portal with Dr. John Anton and the whole Purdue team. Was an independent consultant, been in over 200 different call centers. And it caused me to really look at people and look at people's needs. And it was through that I actually became a life coach before ever coming into HCI, because people were always saying, hey, Kamal, how do I work out with this? And coach me, tell me what we can do. And so that was just a natural progression for me, you might say. And, I had my own fight and battle with diabetes over the years. So in my search to deal with that led me to health coaching. Sure. So everything in my life has been one thing leading to another. And I've always tried to put some positive into the events. This is one of my core philosophies is if you were to ask me about my wife, and what are her bad points? I can't tell you. and I mean that honestly. I couldn't even tell you that about my kids, about the neighbor, because quite frankly, I never look at the negative aspects of people. I do everything I can. I bleed at the heart to look at the positive attributes of people and focus on those and relate to people on those. So I look at how people treat others, how they treat me. I look at their characteristics, and what it means really then to be a person. Because if we're dealing kind of like what you talked about, going to the bedroom, if you wait then it's too late, So we have to learn to romance life in terms of being very real, in terms of living with each other in qualities and appreciating the attributes that people have as people who they are. And at the same time, build that within ourselves. Because we can't learn to like ourselves if we're not happy with who we are. Okay?
That's true.
It's going to be really hard to like anybody else.
The one thing I know, number one, I was incredibly honored that you asked me to preview the book and to give you my thoughts on it. I don't know how many graduates of HCI, even in our cohort, there's hundreds, if not 1,000, and to be honored in that way, I was amazed. But to me, the thing about the book was, I find you to be an incredibly intelligent and learned man. And this book is so easy to read. It's so, and I don't want to say simple to downgrade it, but it's so simple that it makes it easy to be able to understand what you're trying to say. Years ago, back in the 90s, 94, 95, I took a course called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And the great thing about it was the course was amazing, right? The course you can ask her, it changed my life. The book was so freaking hard to read. It was like you were reading a recipe in a different language, right? If you just went to the course, you were like, whoa, that's amazing. I love this. But you read the book and went, I don't understand. I'm not smart enough to read this book, right? And which was, Stephen Covey was an incredible man. But the one thing I loved about your book was I didn't feel that way reading it. I felt like anyone from a teenager in school, a middle schooler, could pick it up to someone who is intellectual and learned and read these things. And just, you need a starting point, right? There's so many of us out there, so many people who have been locked in their homes for so long and locked in their minds for so long, who just don't know where to start. And what I loved was not only did you have these 10 tips, but you also had some mantras. You also had some affirmations. You even had some kick-ass recipes. I'm a chef. This is what I do. And there were some kick-ass recipes in there. I'm like, all right, he needs to get out of my lane. Okay, he needs to back this up a few pages, But really, it was such an easy read. And I say that, again, not to downplay it, but because I think that's important that it's an easy read, that anyone can understand, read this book and go, now I know where to start. I know what can make me feel better now.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll just say, you and I came out of the same cohort, so that gave me focus to you. And people were going to say, well, why did I pick, Coach Dean? And I said, I had to look at some people that I could trust that would look at this highly objectively, that had enough of a similar background that could evaluate it in a proper scale.
Right.
Okay. Because I know that you understand health. I know that you understand life events and these kinds of things. And so therefore I said, this guy and he and I are aware of each other. We haven't always interacted a whole lot.
Sure.
But we've interacted some. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and take a chance because, I want that objectivity. The other thing about you is that you're a person I've always appreciated because I remember back in HI, you would call it like it is. People would say things and we'd be in, various groups and study groups. And if you didn't like it, you didn't agree, you weren't afraid to say, no, that's not quite right, or maybe you should swing a different way. And so I needed somebody with that willingness to be objective, which is really why I chose you. So I'm just elated, really, that you like it and that you've given such high regard, because that's exactly how I picked you. I had a couple others.
Well, I remember one of our first interactions where you did those, and you mentioned it earlier when we were in the green room, when we were in pre-production. You mentioned the dance videos you used to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you see Coach, he seems very put together. He seems like he's a man who's been around the world, and his Facebook page, I think it was your picture, was a very nice, well done photo shot, right? And you were very, not stoic, but you were very professional in it. And then I looked through your content, and your content was just so damn funny and so good, and I loved it. And I actually sent him an offline message one time, and I said, Coach, we don't even really know each other, and I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but you are so funny and you are so enlightening. Your picture doesn't portray that. I said, you need a picture that brings out that character and that love and that heart that you have, in my opinion. And I remember you took it very well. You had a very good comment about it, but it was amazing. I just thought, and now to know you like I do, it's really cool to come full circle. Joan, do you have any for Coach?
I need to read his book that you haven't shared with me.
There is that.
But everything just sounds great. Curtis was telling me about the book and what it meant, and I'm like, that, like you said, it's if it's simple to read, people are going to read it. They're going to engage in it. They're going to bring out something from it. When it gets too muddled or it gets too complicated with these overrated words and these big words that, frankly, most people don't understand. But if you can get a simple read and get your message across, that just makes life so much easier. And you can expand the coaching and you can expand yourself that way, because a lot more people are going to buy into it.
Well, this is, and I thank you once again, but this is exactly my target area. Okay, was to get it concise, get it simple. I could have done it in 10, 12 different chapters,
sure,
inflated them with all sorts of scientific background and big stories behind this and that, filled with tons of data behind each segment in there. And I said, why? The bookshelves are filled with that kind of stuff.
Right.
It weights people down. You're reading through stuff, waiting to get the nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And so my goal was like a miner in that pan, to sift through all the stuff, get the nuggets, put it together in a way that was going to be easy to take in and easy to read, but be concise and try to be polite about it and say, hey, here's some things. Take a breather, take a step back, take a look at this. And if you need it, here's a way to get a little pecking order and to do a checklist, to do an evaluation of things. It just for the people who are watching, to give them an idea, one of the first things I talk about there is the idea of needs versus wants.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Because people get really caught up in this. Well, I need it. I need that. Do you really? I put in there a Maslow's hierarchy because there's only really a level of about 5 or 6 things that we really need in life. Okay.
Right.
But especially here in the Western society, we get hung up on our wants. And so I say, do an evaluation of what your wants really are. And why do you feel you want these things? Why are they important to you? Okay. Look at yourself in some other ways too, in terms of evaluating your social life. And I'm not going to take these in any particular order, but the people that you associate with, your groups, your religious groups, your community groups, okay? How do they impact the things that you want and need out of life? All right. What are some of the things that are stopping you from getting them? As a coach, we talk about, especially in the habit change, people get to that point where they want to bail out. Well, what's stopping you? Could it be you want these things because your wife wants you to have it? Could you be that the things you really want is not because you want it, but because somebody else in some social group, some political group, your boss, your peers, your whatever, they want. When we understand all these things, we can start trimming it away, and we can put things to rest and say, you know what, that's not what I want. Because if you're working for all the stuff that you really don't want, you're not happy.
Yeah.
Those are the things that form stress and aggravation in the person, in the body. It leads to physical illness. Okay. And just on the health coach side of me, very strong believer that there's basically two forms of illnesses. All right. One is physical. You break your arm. That's a physical disease. The other is spiritual. In other words, stress is a spiritual disease. It's intangible. It has physical manifestations. So a lot of this deals on these levels, especially the spiritual level, because that's where we have to clean house, basically. So that's where we have to do that self-check. And I've given multiple levels and areas of how we can dissect that and how we can look at that. And then it lets us, if we can get through that process, and it's not always a one-day thing, but if we can get through that process, it helps us understand where we can go from there, because then it builds us a foundation. All right. And the more that we can cure ourselves of certain things, the better off we are.
Absolutely. And I think we've learned in this last year, a lot of us, being locked up, being locked in, being locked down, I think we found out how different what we thought our needs were and what they actually are, and what we thought our wants were and what they actually, because there's, I know there have been even, some of my introvert friends, I was talking to one today and she's like, you mean I got to stay home and not go outside and deal with people? Give me some more of that, So it's very true that some of us, this was kind of okay. And those of us like me, I'm a very outgoing person. I'm out about all the time and love to go out and go to restaurants and go out and have drinks and those kind of things. For me, I had to reevaluate a lot of things. So guys, if we can, let's bring up Pastor and let's bring Coach back up again. Guys, I do want to say that myself and Coach Kamal, we do offer a free coaching session in the beginning. Basically, I call mine the Play Big strategy session. To me, playing big is just about stepping out of your comfort zone, getting to that next step, deciding what you want. Coach Kamal, I know, also offers one, and you can reach him either on his website or at his email, which is listed there. For a spiritual voice, Pastor, is there anything, people, how can they contact you if they want to talk to you, Pastor?
You can get me through my Facebook page, Dozell Varner, or New Life, the Church Without Walls, or Go Black Inc. Our common bond, GoBlackInc.com.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Pastor, do you have any questions for either myself or for Coach Kamal?
Well, let me ask you, Coach, what was the discipline like of writing that book? Give me some free coaching on that.
You see this head right there?
I identify.
There you go. There you go. We're like in more ways than one. I have written, well, a handful. I think I got like 5 on Amazon right now that you'll find. But that also includes, I think, or the 6th one is one I did with Dr. John Anton of Purdue, which is a technical book. And then I wrote something like 50 white papers, in the technical area. And it all starts really a lot with having that idea, as you were talking about, in getting your outline together. If we don't really know what it is that we want to say, it's really hard to start writing about it.
Yeah.
Okay. If we have to know what's the end piece. All right. Otherwise, it's like trying to write a love and romance novel, and you're writing about the character, and you're writing about how they fall in love, and you're writing about how they do all this nice stuff, but you don't know what the end of the story is.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to start at the end so you can know where your beginning is.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the other thing is, don't be afraid. Don't try and write a finished draft all at one time. That was one of the things I used to do out of a business practice, because I traveled a lot. I lived in airports more than I lived at home, unfortunately. And I had to go into places for a couple of days, sometimes a week, and I would have to write these reports. so that I could then turn around and do a presentation on them. So I had to learn how to edit at the same time I was writing, which is in one way a filthy habit if you're really trying to put out high level quality, because it's too much stuff you can miss. It's good one way, but it has its plus and minuses. But my advice to anybody want to write is, like you say, get it out of your system, write it down. You got your outline. Okay, write it down, and then go back through it, and now read it as though you're in the third person with somebody else. Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
And did you put in everything that you want to say? Because once it gets published, it's too late.
Right.
So that's the time when you can go through and edit as far as content.
Okay.
Well, I hope that I hope my friend Alyssa is listening tonight, because she is trying to write a book. She is very excited about that. She shared a little bit with us the other night. Guys, it's been great having you on the show. We're bumping up against time, but I don't know if you guys realize it, but I surround myself with some amazing people. Coach Kamal, Pastor Doze, and my beautiful wife, who has made me better the last 26 years technically. She made me live in sin for a year, but we won't go into that.
And by the way, congratulations on the upcoming anniversary. My wife and I just celebrated our 38th anniversary.
Wow.
Just days ago on the 8th, in fact. So
it so amazes me now when people say, "Oh, how long have you guys been married?" And I said, "Well, we're coming up on 25 years," and they act as if, my goodness, as if we, have, got to the White House, or it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe nobody stays married that long anymore. And it's like, I was married 3 times. Joan has been my 3rd marriage. My first one was a mistake. My second one was a beautiful person who I just should not have married. We should have stayed best friends. And this time when we got married, divorce wasn't an option. The option was, we're going to figure this shit out and make it work. So, well, don't ever go to bed mad. I went to bed mad a few times, but I've gotten up happy, because when I wake up, I know I'm with her, so it's been great, guys. I appreciate everything. I appreciate you guys being with us. Coach, real quick, what does the book sell for on Amazon? I know people get freaked out about price. What does your book cost us on Amazon?
It's $9.99. I mean, you can't beat it. And
Right.
That's the hard copy.
It's well worth it.
The e-copy, is Kindle. So if you got a Kindle reader, it's there for like $1.99 or something like that. And thank you, Nikki. Appreciate it. Nikki just popped up. Happy anniversary. She's
Absolutely.
wonderful. Reverend, it's been such a great honor to meet you. And I know, Coach, we'll be talking, but Rev, I would love to get and have a conversation with you. I think there's a lot of things that we can have to talk about. Maybe collaborate on something, or I can get on your show or whatever. But we'll love to do that.
Coach. We got to do that, Coach. Got to do that.
Yeah.
Wow. So one of my friends, Shirley, says that her and her husband have just celebrated 42 years. That is amazing. Love is still alive, guys. Love is still out there. There's a lot of love to give. For those of you that are suffering through this pandemic, or you don't know exactly where to start, Coach Kamal's book is a great starting point of what do I do, as well as Pastor, hooking up with him on Sunday in the Church Without Walls is maybe something, if you're spiritual minded, that might be good for you. You can always, whether I make any money, whether I make a dime or whether I make $1, I don't care. You can always call and talk to me. We're always here. I didn't get into life coaching to make money. I got into life coaching to help people. I like the money. Don't get me wrong. People are always asking for my advice. So I figured, well, hell, if you're going to ask me for my advice, I'm going to start charging you for it. So that's kind of how all this got started. But it's been an amazing journey so far. I have met some of the most incredible people. Did you have something, Coach?
Yeah. Does that mean we can charge?
Oh, we'll have that talk later. Yeah, I mean, I'm in several groups from HCI. I just met some of the most incredible people. We call ourselves Heart Warriors, and it couldn't be more true. I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, the first few months, when I put out something that said, hey, if you just want to talk, if you just need somebody to reach out to, I'm here. And I swear it was 10, 15, 20 of my coach friends did exactly the same thing underneath and said, because my thing with having other people on my show, people say, why do you have all these other people on your show? Are you not afraid that it's going to take away from you? And to me, that's just BS.
We can't control everything. Coach Kamal and Pastor Dozell are 2 totally different people and come from everything with 2 totally different
Perspectives.
Perspective. Thank you. So, I mean, people can learn from everybody. It doesn't have to just be one person.
Well, and that's the thing is I want people to know that there's a coach out there that looks like you, whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Asian, whether you're gay, straight, whether you're gender fluid, whatever you might be, there's a coach out there for you that can talk to you and that can help you with whatever it is that you need. So that's why I do this. That's why I have so many amazing people on my show, like the both of you, because somebody needed to hear what you guys said tonight, right? Because if you didn't, you wouldn't be here. My wife has taught me from day one, everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
And it's all about finding peace in this chaos, guys. I appreciate you being with us. I appreciate you showing up in your authentic selves and just helping us to help other people and to help this world move through what we're going through and to get to something new. So thank you all so much, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Coach. Hey, to you, Coach.
And thank you for joining us on the Play Bigger podcast. Coach Curtis is dedicated to helping you grow, thrive, and excel. Playing bigger is more than a tagline, it's a lifestyle. So be sure to tune in every other week for more from the Play Bigger Coach. And check us out online at www.playbigcoach.com. There you can schedule your free 1-hour Play Big strategy session. We look forward to seeing you soon.